Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 48 of the Anatomy of Knitting podcast. My name is Erin, and I'm going to be your host. Today is June 4th, 2014. It is a Wednesday, and it was a beautiful day here in Ireland, but now has kind of gone to an overcast, slightly yucky day. No rain yet, but that's okay. The weather here tends to change pretty quickly. I have got a lot to share with you today. We've got a couple of finished objects. We've got some things that are currently being knit. We've got some sewing, and we've got some quilting things. So, a bunch of stuff to talk about. So let's get started. So, first thing is finished objects, and I have one completely finished object and one close enough finished object. You'll see what that close enough finished object is in just a second. But the first thing that I have finished is the pair of stockinette socks that I was working on. Here is sock number 1. And then here is sock number 2. And this was made out of that yarn that I picked up when I was on vacation in Germany a couple of years ago. My husband and I went to Germany for, look at it, pretty much matches my camisole there. My husband and I went to Germany for around Christmas time, and I ended up doing a whole bunch of cool stuff, like visiting German yarn stores and visiting the Wollmeise store. And picked this yarn up, whoopsie, and ended up knitting a pair of stockinette socks. This is the boring old stockinette socks that I usually do. About an inch of cuff or until I get bored. This is probably about 4 or 5 inches of leg. My slip stitch heel, pretty, and then just a normal stockinette foot. And I did something a little different with this pair of socks. I've been having problems with the toes of my socks wearing out a lot faster than the rest of my socks, and my usual cast on for socks is about 64 stitches. No, my usual cast on for socks has been about 72 stitches, and so I decided to go down 4 stitches to 68. Because negative ease is good in a sock, it'll help stay it up, yada yada yada. I've always liked kind of looser socks, but I didn't know if that was helping to contribute to my toes busting out problem. So not only did I go down 4 stitches, I also lengthened the foot a little bit, and I ended up knitting the foot until I got to like right there on my foot, like right where my big toe starts. So we'll see if these last a little bit longer than the rest of them. I have worn them once, so they're a little fuzzy, but overall, very pleased with the socks. Yay! So that is my completely finished object, and then the yarn. The yarn is dyed to just do this kind of not pooling, but it has this like lighter part here, and then the darker part there, and then lighter, darker, lighter, darker. So those are fun. That's finished object number 1, and the mostly finished object is my antler cardigan. Yay, antler cardigan! And if you remember, this is from the I've knit this to go along with the Knit More Girls Matchy Matchy Knit Along. There's Lola. Hello, Lola. Except I'm doing Matchy 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 Knit Along. Let me flip this around so you can see that beautiful cape a little bit better. I knit my twin sons the antler cardigans in their size. And and I finished both of those and installed buttons. And all that I've done right now for mine is knit the entire cardigan. I love this cable. It's just so pretty. Isn't that luscious? So I've knit mine. I just need to block it, sew in ribbon and sew in buttons. And like, I didn't think I was smart enough to do this before we met, or not before we met, but before we left Seattle during our move. But I was actually smart enough to buy buttons, which I found the other day. Actually, I think they might be in this bag. Maybe not. I know they're somewhere. I had come across them. So this is made out of some unknown brand of yarn that I purchased here in Cork, Ireland, at a shop called Vibes and Scribes, and that's in downtown Cork. It's this kind of heathery, and this is not a very accurate color. It looks a little bluer here on my screen than it is in real life. It's a nice charcoaly heathery gray. It's really beautiful. It's a little bit rustic, so it's a little, I won't say scratchy. It's not the scratchiest yarn I've encountered, but there you go. Let's see. So it just needs to be blocked and then buttons and stuff installed. So that's next in the queue. So hopefully next time I record, I'll have a finished sweater, and hopefully I'll have a picture with my sons and me posing in our cardigans, because it's just super cute. So those are my two finished objects, or 99.99% finished objects. So let's move on to what I'm currently knitting. So what's currently on the needles is just two things. The first thing is something I started, let's see, I guess it was Sunday. My husband and I got some time to go to the movies. One of his coworkers came by and his girlfriend and watched the babies for us for a couple of hours. Or technically they just listened to them sleep, because the boys have transitioned to one nap a day, which I thought was going to be awful because I really was enjoying the 2 naps a day. But the way our schedule is going now is that this is like total tangent. The way our schedule is going now is that the babies wake up at around 8:30-ish. I try and keep them awake until about 1:30, 2 o'clock, where we go upstairs and read some books. And then they go night-night. They are currently sleeping, and we usually sleep at least 2 hours. So I'm getting as much time to myself during the day, which is awesome. Mama needs time to clean and when it's a difficult day, decompress. Unfortunately, since we've been here, the little boys have gotten 3 colds total. I think it's 3. It might be 4. I think it's just 3. Which is, of course, not fun, but at least they tend to get sick around the same time, so that's at least helpful. Anyway, so we got some time off, and so I ended up starting another sock. I knit all but 1 row of the ribbing right before the movie started, or before we went to the movies. I ended up knitting 1 row of the ribbing in the dark. And apparently I didn't even notice, but I messed it up right there. Oh well. I don't know how I just messed it up there, because that's like in the middle of the round. Whatever. I'm not even going to bother fixing it. Yep. I just reversed my purls and knits for the ribbing. Whatever. We saw the X-Men movie. It was entertaining fluff, as I like to call it. And then I knit, what is that, about 3 inches-ish of cuff. This is more yarn that I got in Germany. I knew that I wouldn't have my stash for a while before our stuff would arrive from the sea shipment, so I ended up grabbing all of the like pre-balled yarn, which ended up being pretty much all the yarn that I purchased in Germany during that Germany trip. So this is Lana Grossa Meilenweit Wave. There you go. And it's mostly these, like a purpley pink, a pink, and then this is actually a brown, like a chocolatey brown. And it's turning out, you know, like a sock. And it was nice to be able to knit in the movie theater. You know, like you go in with this much and you leave with that much. It's super. I love that. Again, this is just going to be another pair of stockinette socks because I am kind of boring like that. I like stockinette socks for mindless knitting. So that's object on the needles number 1. And then object number 2, I've been pretty inspired by watching, let's see, Leslie of the Knit Girls. I think somebody else is knitting one of these, but I can't remember who it was. But this is going to be Viagante by Martina Bem. And I'm using, this is Wollmeise in the blue, let me get this correct for you, the blue tint, yes, a Blau Tint colorway, which is this gorgeous, lovely blue. I love this blue. It's like, I'd have 10,000 of its babies if I could. And I'm pulling from the center, so a lot of the stuff in the middle is coming out. I believe this was like a 300-gram ball, and I'm supposed to knit until a certain amount is left. Ooh. I didn't let it zero before I put my yarn on it. There we go. Oh, I've got a lot to go before I can start the end border. It seems like I'm getting a lot done, but apparently not. This thing is going to be gigantic. So what it is it's going to be what looks like a triangular shawl, but it's knit as a tube. So you start out knitting flat, this like garter portion here. You can see. Stick that in. So there's that garter portion, and then when that garter portion gets to be a certain width, then you join it in the round, and then you knit stockinette stitch for like ever until the end of time, apparently. I cast this on probably about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, maybe now, week and a half ago. Let's see if I was smart enough to mark that in my group. Yes, I was. May 21st. So I guess that's about 2 weeks now. It is just big enough that I don't have to magic loop anymore. I can just knit it in the round, which is nice because I am well practiced enough that I can do most of this without looking. The only parts that I have to look at are the decreases on one side, and then there's increases on the other. And then these are my V1 stitch markers. I have little black cats because I have a black cat. And then the one that marks the beginning of the round is, ooh, there we go, a banana cupcake. I think that's supposed to be banana. Yeah. So, Martina Bem has a video that shows you how you can wear it, which is what made me want to cast on for the project. Because it's, I mean, you know, knitting an entire skein of lace weight and stockinette stitch is a slog. Let's just be honest. Yeah, it's a labor of love. So, I wasn't, just from the pictures, I wasn't convinced, but when I watched her video for the Viajante, and she tells you how to pronounce it. Actually, I think it's Viajante. I think the E is not pronounced, but whatever. She shows you how to wear the Viajante and the Tubularity, which is another pattern of hers that I bought. And I think this is a all of the time thing, but if you buy 3 of her patterns, she gives you a discount. So I ended up buying the Tubularity, the Viajante, and the Matchmaker. And I have enough sock yarn to last me, you know, till the zombie apocalypse. So I have plenty of things to make those out of. But the one thing that you can do to wear this one is wear it like it's a hood. You know, my head will go there, and then it just kind of artfully drapes across the bottom of my body. So I'm excited about this one. And the yarn is a little splitty. It's the lace weight Volmise lace weight. It kind of, I mean, it looks like the regular sock weight, but it's, trust me, it's lace weight. And I'm knitting this on my US 4 signature needles. So those are the 2 things that are currently on my knitting needles. And then the next segment, I'm going to throw in. I didn't put this in the beginning, a little opener thingy. But I think I'm gonna do like a new what I like about Ireland, what's cool about Ireland, or what's different about Ireland. So I'm not exactly sure what I'm gonna call it yet, but that's gonna be the next segment. So I think I'm going to call this my favorite things about Ireland, because mostly it's going to be awesome things about living here. But I think occasionally it's going to be frustrating things about living here. And mostly it's like the frustrating things are adapting to just the way things here are, you know, the way things here are here. Like driving a car on the other side of the road. That's been a little bit more difficult to do. But my favorite thing about Ireland today is going to be all of the awesome chocolates that you can get. Cadbury is my favorite, and I know that's not really an Irish. It's certainly not an Irish thing, but I never really had a good source for good Cadbury chocolate that wasn't just the basic like fruit and nut. So since I've been here, I've been like loving all of these interesting things. So this chocolate bar you can see is banana caramel crisp, and what does it say about what's in it? It's milk chocolate with banana flavor candy pieces, caramel pieces, and malted cereal balls. And I just had one piece of it so far, and it's quite interesting. This part of this, I don't know if it's a brand of Cadbury, but this Marvelous Creations creation of Cadbury has some really interesting candy bar flavors. There's the big candy bars that you see. I guess they're more like that big. There's a cookie nut crunch, which has like cookie pieces and candied, I think, almonds in it. There's a cola pretzel crunch one, which is interesting. And then my other favorite is it is, gosh, I can't remember what their official name for it is, but it has faux M&Ms, chocolate covered candy pieces, but they're not M&Ms because it's Cadbury. There's pieces of gummies, and then there's Pop Rocks, all in a chocolate bar. Like it's really it's really nice to have these interesting candy bar flavors. So I've been, enjoying that part of Ireland. Yeah, so that's the favorite things about Ireland this week. Yummy candy. So now on to sewing. I have a pretty decent amount of stuff to share with you here. I know the last time I recorded, I was showing you the babies' Halloween costumes, and I told you that there was another box that was supposed to be coming from the States to me. It did finally arrive. One of the, how like the box is like a box, obviously. One of the corners had like ripped open because I like shoved all of this stuff in there. So I'd have to, pay less postage. So it finally arrived, and it had the fabric for my husband's and my Halloween costume. And I told you we're being shepherds and the babies are being sheep. So, and again, I didn't pay this much for this, but, and loosely, I know shepherds probably didn't wear this, but I'm not gonna, I didn't want us to be biblical shepherds. I wanted to wear something fun. So this is what my costume's gonna look like, except, different fabric here. I've got I believe it's an off-white or a white for the sleeves. This I think is still going to be sort of the olivey color. This is going to be a different pattern. I'm going to have an orange apron that goes with the print that I bought for that, and then a brown skirt, and then a brown cape, and then I'm going to make my husband's. There we go. It's this reversed stuff on the computer. It's very hard to get used to. I'm going to make him the cape, and then there's no pattern for the vest here. I guess these are like store-bought vests and stuff. So I bought a pattern to make him a vest, and then we're just going to find other pants that'll work. I figure he's not going to want me to sew him a pair of pants. So these are going to be our costumes. And this is Simplicity 1771. And then, yeah, I'm not going to do that view. I'm just doing that. And I've washed all of the fabric to pre-shrink it, because that's important if you want things to fit after you wash it. So yeah, there we go. I think it's going to be an awesome Halloween costume. I'm going to start on the... Oh, hello, Lola. Say hi. Say hi. Say look. Look. You gotta look here. Silly girl. Yeah, so I'm going to start on the cloaks, because those I don't need to alter, because I've got an ample front area, which is requiring me to alter that pattern, which should be exciting and fun. The next things are things that I've sewed for the babies. First up, and this is full of mistakes, but I love it. It's so cute. I have been watching a ton of stuff on Craftsy. I'm laughing at her. I've been watching a ton of stuff on Craftsy, and they have an area of their site that's dedicated to patterns, like patterns that you could create and then put up there for sale. So I ended up buying a pattern for footed pajamas. And I originally, sorry about shaking the camera there, I originally wanted to do fleece pajamas. But the problem with doing fleece pajamas, unless you want to do like polka dots or something, the scale of the prints is like crazy insane. Malcolm has really been into the Cars characters lately. There was this like workbook at my parents' house that he totally has gotten into, and he loves, like, we don't let them watch TV yet because they're not two. So he hasn't actually seen Cars. Or know that it's a movie or know what movies are. But somehow he's totally gotten into Cars. Anyway, the fleece that I found, just the scale is just, it's crazy. Like, Lightning McQueen would take like this much of his. It's crazy. I don't like it. So I decided to use the pattern. You can also use just regular knit fabric. So I ended up making, and yes, the collar is all sorts of mucked up, but it's done. Whatever. It's just going to be a mucked up collar. I made little spaceman PJs. These so cute, so cute. And I always consider the first. Especially on I'm not an expert at any means with sewing. I consider myself like a very small font, lowercase s sewer. I consider myself a capital K knitter. That's no problem, but very lowercase s sewer. So all sorts of mistakes. Like there's a little crotch piece that babies need a little extra. There's a little gather there, full of mistakes. Whatever. So these are I think the classic footed pajamas is the name of the pattern, and it's on Craftsy. You can find it there. I made these. I think I finished these about 2 weeks ago. And I've got enough fabric to make a total of 4 PJs. I was just trying to figure out sizing. This is an 18-month size, and it looks gigantic. There we go. It looks gigantic, but it's just a little loose on Malcolm, and he's the slightly bigger baby. So I think in maybe about a month it'll fit perfectly. And it's got the snap tab, which I installed. Ugh. And then it's got a zipper shield, which you don't have to do, and I may leave out next time, because their regular PJs don't have this. It's just so like they don't have the irritation of the zipper on their insides. And then the zipper goes down all the way to the leg. Let's see what else. I broke the rules and didn't use a ballpoint needle. Apparently when you work with sewing with knit fabrics, you're supposed to use a ballpoint needle because that'll go through the knit fabric a lot easier. But I didn't have any when I wanted to start these, so I knit it, or I made it with a regular needle, but it ended up working out just fine. I did manage to find a source locally for some ballpoint needles, so the next pair that I do, I'll use the point needle. And let's see, I learned all of my mistakes in the first pair. That usually tends to be my MO, is that the first thing that I make of a new skill, i.e. working with knits or I don't know, other general crafts, I call this my practice piece, usually. So like when you take a class, always consider that whatever you're doing, especially if you're learning a new skill, it's just your practice piece. You know, nobody's gonna judge me on these. Babies aren't gonna care. Malcolm, we put these on Malcolm, to see how they'd fit. And he ended up not wanting to take them off. So I don't know if he knew that his mama had made these for them or what, but he didn't want to take them off. That made me feel pretty good. Yeah, a little misty that he didn't want to take them off. But yeah, so that's the first sewn object. And then the second and third sewn objects are really just the same thing. Well, they're the same thing, not the same thing of the... I made cute little summer shirts. Aren't they cute? The babies have, so there's, to start from the beginning, there is a Carter's outlet store en route from Seattle to my parents' place. Prior to us leaving, I stocked up on clothes because, again, I didn't know what the source for clothes here would be, especially for babies. So it was their summer stock, so I had bought a few things that were very summery. And one of them had a shirt like this, except it was more like in, I think, green, pink, and blue. It's like a summer green and a summer blue. And the boys just look so cute in these button-down short sleeve shirts. So I was bound and determined to find fabric here to make one out of. And I did. I was very successful. I had a day off, let's see, last weekend, where I was able to go into downtown Cork. And I went to, there's a store called Hickey's, which sells fabric here. And they did not have much of a selection, at least not that I'm used to. That has also been quite challenging here, is not having stores I can go to readily to purchase things for my crafts. I don't have a local yarn store, and I don't have a local fabric store. And the U.S. it has ruined me. Fabric Depot has ruined me, because I expect Fabric Depot everywhere now. But I ended up finding this, like, seersucker-y type of fabric. It does have a texture. Let's see. Yeah, you can kind of see the texture in the white there. This kind of seersucker-y fabric at that same Vibes and Scribes where I bought the yarn for the antler cardigan. So I ended up making 2 summer shirts, and this is also another pattern that you can buy on Craftsy. The patterns, because you can't print it out on tissue paper, at least I can't. I don't know how I would do that. So I printed out on regular printer paper, and then I cut out the pattern pieces, because you're supposed to use your fabric scissors on regular pattern or regular paper, because it will dull your scissors. There's something like silica or something in the paper that can dull your scissors. So they're downloadable sewing patterns, and I'm totally on board with them. Anyway, super cute. The fabric is cut out on the bias for the pockets, and that is a functioning pocket. And then there's a pleat in the back. That's my first pleat. Is that the first one? Which one's the first one? Yeah, I think that's the first one I did. And then the other interesting thing about this, it's got buttonholes. Buttonhole making machine. I did this on, so I have 2 sewing machines. I have a Juki and a Brother, and the Brother is the one that I made for this, I made this because I used the buttonhole stitch. You just hit go and it does the buttonhole automatically. But the cool thing about the shirt is that all the seams on the inside are finished. So you don't have exposed fabric anywhere. Exposed edging. Well, I might, because I'm not very good at sewing yet, but you know, everything's folded over and sewed down, and it's just, I feel like I leveled up a little bit. So, the 2 summer shirts done. They're a little big on the babies. I think they'll be good at the end of the year, or not the end of the year, at the end of the summer. So that's 1, and that's 2, and it's the same pattern, same fabric. Super cute. And I told you that my next thing on the sewing machine is going to be the Halloween cloak. After that, I think I'll do another pair of pajamas. We'll see. Yeah, so that's all the stuff that I've been sewing. So the last segment is the quilting segment, and it's mostly just a show and tell. First thing I'd like to show you is one of my new knitting bags. This is a bag, it's called the Cross Patch bag, and this is a pattern that came out of, oh my goodness, I have like Vintage Quilt Revival. I had to look it up. I had to stop this, re-record it because I forgot the name of the book. And then after I found it, I forgot it again. Oh my goodness. Anyway, this is the Cross Patch bag. It is a bag that is made by paper piecing. Let's see. Oh goodness, here we go. There we go. This dark green to lime. Let me just look at it this way. So that's one. And then the other piece, oh my goodness, I don't even remember with the paper. So it's paper pieced, so you can do it a little more accurately. And I used to be able to find the pieces, like because you do, I think, like 20 different paper pieced pieces, and then you sew those together, and it makes the pattern. So I can't remember how it is anymore because it's been about 6 months since I made it. So I think if I were to make this differently, because I'm using knitting this to like carry knitting stuff, I use a sturdier interfacing. This is a little too, I'd like it a little more firm. So that's the Cross Patch bag. That's number 1. And then I have a couple of finished quilts that I wanted to show you, because the last time I showed you quilts, some of these I just showed you the finished top, so I wanted to show you the finished quilt. This is Malcolm's Christmas quilt. I've got it upside down. It doesn't really matter. It's his monkey quilt because he makes noises like a monkey. And I did this like loopy meandering design. And that's pretty heavily quilted because it's a child. And then I machine bound. And then that's the backing fabric, the stripes. And when we were staying at my parents' house before we moved, I had this down on the floor, like a little reading nook, and when it was time to go to bed, they'd always like want to read a book on it before we went upstairs to go night-night. It was super cute. So this was Malcolm's Christmas quilt. And then Nathaniel's Christmas quilt, the last time I showed it to you, it was just a bag of scraps. Or not of scraps, but a bag of fabric. So his turned out a little bit bigger. Oh, goodness. Here we go. So he ended up having like a crabby theme. And I ended up appliquing the crabs on, which turned out pretty cute. It's my first time ever appliquing something on, and I sort of just kind of winged it. I don't know, what's the past tense of winged? And then I did just a meandering design here on it. You can see it a little bit better on that. And I tried not to cross my lines of sewing, but sometimes I was not so successful. So there's that. And then I've been trying to get a little bit better at free motion quilting. And the thing about sewing machines is the default setting is that the sewing machine will always sew a straight line. And the little mechanism that feeds the fabric through straight is called a feed dog. You can drop those feed dogs so they don't come in contact with the fabric, and then you can move the fabric in all sorts of directions on the sewing machine. And I've been watching a bunch of classes on Craftsy about how to do this. Oh man, I hope I can make this show up. I ended up doing, yeah, you can kind of see it here, like a ropey cable, because I thought that might be interesting to do in this thin red border. So you can see there's a rope, or a twist. There's a twist there, there's a twist there, there's a twist there, like a ropey cable. Yeah, there we go. That looks a little better. I just thought it would be just a nice little touch in that thin red border. And then I did another meandering design in the crab, but I did that in the red. And it doesn't look too bad. And then on the back of his quilts, I did this red and white rope fabric. And then I put the binding on by machine again. So that's that one. That's the second quilt, and these were both the boys' Christmas quilts, and I've already got kits for this year. Malcolm's getting another monkey themed quilt, and then I think Nate's getting animals, just kind of general. There's elephants and more like zoo animals. And then the other quilt that I've made since then was a Christmas quilt. And this one, let me just show you the quilting that I did. It's much easier to be seen. Here we go. So, the quilting makes sense when I show you the other stuff. I did these like swirly spirals, and then these like paisleys, and then in the borders I did this pebbling. And then there's these thinner sections there. I did just a long feather. This is all done free motion. I'm actually quite proud of this one. So this is what it looks like from the front. It has these big panels of, these Christmas themed fabrics. There's, I think, 9 different fabrics all lined up. And then it's got the blue snowflakes. That's where the feathers are. And then the big ones are where the swirly ones, and then the paisley. And then I just tried to alternate where those were. And then the pebblings in the white there that you can see. So this is our family Christmas quilt that I'll put out here in the living room. And it's Christmas time. I don't think I finished this one until like January 30th. Something really sad like that. It's fine with me. I can use it for next year. Good thing about Christmas quilts, if you're not gifting them, if you're keeping them because they're going to be the family's quilts, then you don't have to finish by a deadline. So, I'll fold that later. I made a couple of quilt tops before we left Seattle, and then I didn't think I had enough time to quilt them, because quilting can take, depending on the design, can take a long time. Like that Christmas quilt took forever because it was very detailed. So the first quilt top, this one's called Charming Chevrons. And you make this using pre-cut 5x5 squares, and then I got black squares for the background, and then there was a potholder swap for the Seattle Modern Quilt Guild, and I ended up doing a Dresden plate in like a color wheel. So I had these left over because I didn't know how many it was going to take, so I overbought. So this is the Charming Chevrons, and it's just this primary color palette, all these different colors, chevron. So that's that. I have the batting that goes in the middle, and then I also have the backing fabric and the binding fabric all ready to go. I just have to get it all set up and decide when I'm going to do it. So that's quilt top number 1 that I have finished. And I have to press it because it's been in a box for 3 months. There we go. So there's that one. And this I think is going to end up to be more like a lap-sized quilt. That Christmas quilt's more like a twin-size quilt. And then the last one, the last thing I have to show you, this is another pattern from the Vintage Quilt Revival book. And I believe this is another paper piecing pattern, and I think they call it the Wheel of Fortune block. So I tend to I really love this like color wheel looking quilts for some reason. That's what I'm into right now. So you'll notice that the color wheels spin, depending on where they are. Colors that are next to each other kind of spin around. So, love this one. It's so beautiful. I'm not sure how I'm going to quilt these two yet. That's another reason why I haven't quite finished them. It's because I don't know what to do. But I really love the color play that I've been doing. And all of the solids. They're just pretty. So that's the second quilt top that I've worked on. Let's see. What else? I've got the backing fabric and the batting and everything all ready to go. I just need to figure out how I'm going to quilt these. So this will be another lap size quilt. Exciting. There we go. And that's it. That's all of the quilting show and tell that I wanted to show you. So let's move on. So that's the end of this episode 48 of the Anatomy of Knitting podcast. I'd like to thank you for joining me, and I'm hoping that this is sort of going to be a more consistent recording schedule. I've been trying to do maybe like monthly recordings. We'll see. A lot of the stuff that I showed you, especially the quilting stuff, is stuff that I've done. Oh, this is Ari. Hello, Ari. Stuff that I've done before. Before our big move. So I'm not sure how big the quantity of things that I'm going to be able to churn out is. Say hi, Ari. Hello. Such a good boy. So hopefully, things will be a little more consistent. I'm hoping that I'll be able to find a knitting group here locally. There's a couple that are going on here in town, in the little village that I'm living in. Cat hair. So hopefully I'll be able to go one of those and have a new knitting group, and that should be fun. So thank you all for watching. I hope that everything you're knitting on is going pretty well. Please come join us on the Anatomy of Knitting podcast group on Ravelry. We're not super talkative, but that's okay. I tend to, once I upload the podcast to YouTube, I upload it to Libsyn and to YouTube. Once it's on YouTube, I usually post the podcast in the group. So if you don't like to download it from other places, you can go watch it there. So that's everything that's been going on here. Thank you for watching, and Aria and I wish you happy knitting. Bye. Oh, and I'll see if I can put in a little clip of the boys since we've moved here. They've been super cute. And they're so big compared to the last time that I put a clip of them in here. They're going to look completely different. So enjoy. Bye-bye. Ha ha ha!